What's up, everybody? Another thing that was bothering me that I was thinking about this idea that the way to solve the radicalization problem is to let everybody say whatever they want on the largest platforms. Another thing that bothered me about it is the proposition that we would let the emotions and feelings of the worst actors kind of dictate what's done on these largest platforms. Basically, BPF synth in their view, to implement that view, you're prioritizing the thoughts and feelings of the most radicalized people and basically dictating that everybody else has to put up with these radical ideas. At least they upset these people. It's almost like a reverse heckler's veto, if you will, or something along those lines, where you have to put up with what these people say. Otherwise, well, they might get further radicalized, so we all have to suffer with their poison. Like, what if any establishment, society, didn't enforce norms or police their community because they didn't want to offend or upset those that would be subject to such regulation? I think it sends the wrong message, right? It's kind of like this cucked way of thinking where, well, we have these norms that we would like to impose, but we don't want to impose them because they're going to upset the people that they get imposed on. Like, I think this is definitely a problematic way of thinking. If you think that way along the terms of like law enforcement, our philosophy is we arrest people committing crimes because we recognize them as causing harm to a community. So we excise them from the community for a period of time. And that's how we reduce crime. Now, there is talk of recidivism and criminalizing criminals by making them professional criminals, by sending them to jail, which are important considerations, but the main consideration is excising them from the community. And then we worry about rehabilitation and what we can do to help criminals, even if it's solely for not caring about them personally, but how they're going to impact society when they get out. But the point is, we excise them from the community. We don't accept their negative behavior because, well, if we don't accept it, we're going to upset them and they might behave even worse. I just think this is definitely a cucked, problematic way of thinking. Likewise, we can apply this to problems of national defense, right? The appeasement approach. It's appeasement, basically. Like, well, Hitler or Putin or whatever is unilaterally taking over a country, and it's really wrong. We don't like that. But if we act against it, you know, it might radicalize them, it might upset them, and they're going to expand the conflict. So we don't want that to happen, so we're just going to accept their unacceptable behavior. Yeah, I think it definitely doesn't make sense in this respect. If we make not upsetting people, not inciting people, the only priority, it leads us to really bad places. It should definitely be a consideration, but I don't think the biggest consideration. And we arrest and enforce norms and laws against all types of people, like the homeless. If we don't allow them, I know that's a big argument. Should we allow the homeless to sleep wherever they want, or should we actually enforce some kind of order Although, yeah, it is mean to kick out a homeless person and disrupt their life, the lives of people who are having a tough life anyway. Yeah, a lot of people don't want to do that. They don't want to kick a homeless person off the sidewalk or kick them out of their neighborhood. Not an easy thing to do. But we do it for the betterment of society and the respect for the people that live in those neighborhoods. So while the radicalization and the feelings of those people, I think it's a good thing to consider what's going on with the people radicalized. But I don't think we allow them the ability to say, incite, and do whatever it is they want to do because we prioritize their feelings over actually imposing some type of decency and order. That was just an aspect I wanted to expound upon. There was a guy who came on with BPF. I mean, I didn't have any problem with the guy. He kind of kept making the same point, though, like, that I just thought was a non sequitur, stupid point that I kept addressing was, well, it seems to me like you just don't think you can defeat these people's arguments. It's like, no, I know I can defeat them. But what does that even mean? You can eviscerate somebody's arguments, but there's no guarantee it's going to change their way of thinking at all, or their followers. In fact, it could potentially reinforce it. But it's a stupid fucking point to make. And I kept coming up with different examples to explain this. But what if someone is posting really horrific medical information? Like, snorting glass can prevent COVID or cure COVID. And there's people out there that are stupid enough to spread this. Remember that whole Tide Pod thing? I mean, I don't know if anyone actually got hurt, but I'm sure some people got sick or something negative happened. I don't remember if there was any type of, quote, censorship for that, but if some harm was coming of that, like 3-year-olds were fucking eating Tide Pods and had to have their stomachs pumped, are we going to say, oh no, it's a huge negative to society if we allow this to be taken down off social media? Therefore, you need to defeat the Tide Podders with better arguments. Don't you think you can fucking beat their arguments? Like, get out there and beat their arguments. Otherwise, you're weak. I just think it's fucking stupid. It's a stupid, myopic fucking point. Like, I think I can defeat people's idiots' arguments. The problem is, who's listening? Who's necessarily listening or not listening? There's all types of examples where we would want to take down misinformation or stuff that is protected by the First Amendment, misinformation, medical misinformation, incitement, just rude speech. There's all type of examples that people would demand. And I think this insistence on absolute First Amendment invulnerability, many of the people putting it forth are just bad actors coming up with not good arguments to argue why they should be able to say whatever it is the fuck they want. Like, what about my rights? Like, I feel persecuted if I can't say whatever I want or post whatever I want, despite the consequences of that speech or those posts. And if you can't just argue against that, I'm gonna put the onus on you, not on me. You know what I mean? Like, that, it's just a stupid point. Like, can't you out-argue medical misinformation? Like, of course, but who's listening to those arguments? I don't think people that eat Tide Pods and would snort glass or do something stupid to their bodies are going to listen. So it's a protection against that. Anyway, yeah. I'm going to try to not make any more videos on this topic because, like everything, you got to move on at a certain point. So everyone have a good day.